in the middle of the show. I don't know what some fan ate or something, but it overcame the entire stage. I couldn't fucking breathe. I'm in a spacesuit, okay? Dustin literally, and I've never seen him break character, but he broke character. And he's like, we're getting off stage because someone shit their pants. And it was like...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of 2020. I'm Siobhan Cronin here as always with Corey Peza and Benny Goodman. Guys, I'm so excited to return for part 2 with my dear friend Ron DeChant. If you haven't listened to the first episode, go like and subscribe at 2020-d.com.
Chaos.
We've got the last piece of Starset joining us.
And we keep learning things somehow.
Total chaos.
On these episodes.
Total chaos.
Every member brings a unique perspective, and that's what's so fun about it is like the stories never end, and you get a different version of what's going on from every angle.
I'd say for anyone that wants to kind of hear the inner workings of Starset, which isn't something that a lot of people get to hear, this is the episode, and also the fun tour stories we get to towards the end of the episode, which you definitely don't want to miss.
Wild.
Yeah, so check it out. Here's part 2 with Ron DeChant.
This week on 2020, we have an amazing guest who last week, if you didn't listen, let me just summarize, does stuff with volcanoes, takes risks, knows Arabic, is from the military, and he's super logistically intelligent, has whiteboards in his basement, chops down fucking trees, and he happens to be a bass player. He fell into it at a much higher level than probably almost anyone, if anyone you know. His name's Ron DeChant. Hi, guy. How are you?
I'm good. I don't speak Arabic.
That was a joke. That was completely inaccurate.
Everything else was accurate. I just gotta. I'm your fact checker. I need you. Need that.
Also, pulled the most random details, and thanks for introducing yourself and all of us.
Truth and a lie.
Yeah, by the way, that's
17
Siobhan.
truths and a lie.
Yeah, that's Siobhan Cronin and Corey Peza, my cohorts, who are also better than me and probably drunk.
Working on it.
Probably by this point, I have a very large glass of wine I'm nursing here.
There's a B on it. Yeah. Be yourself.
Yep, be yourself. So anyway, back with Ron, who's my dear friend, partner in Starset, mastermind of so many things beyond even my understanding. And we got into Team Stage Left, exactly.
Brought to you by V8. Delicious.
Brought to you by anyone that'll sponsor us at this point.
Well, did you know that there's like 2 full servings of vegetables in every
2
glass?
full servings. Oh, in every glass. I was like, you're holding this big bottle. I was like, I believe
you
in that whole bottle.
Like 87 full servings.
Do you love V8? Are you like living on that?
I absolutely love V8.
Is that a staple in your diet?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know about Ben's diet. It's kind of like a Snapple here, like don't eat all day, and then have my V8 juice to say that I ate vegetables. Like it's a little bit questionable. And then a block of cheese.
I love cheese.
That's a yin to a yang. Like if you have that much cheese, you probably need V8 to make everything work. So,
it's a circle of life.
Right.
You're probably a Bloody Mary guy then, huh?
I don't really drink. I'm just naturally this way. So it's like if I drink, that's when I started burying bodies in the desert, and we just need to. Oh, that was the 20s of my life.
I know guys like you.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I bet he does, but for real.
One of the things we were saying before we hopped on is that when I was introduced to Starset through Siobhan, I had no idea about you guys. I think the first time I saw you was the Palladium, and Siobhan and Brock, me and Ben went to the bar before the show, so we got to meet Brock and kind of hung out. I had no idea what to expect. I don't think Ben did either. We walked.
No. We looked at each other and go, holy.
We walked side stage. This was 4 or 5 years ago. I think.
Yeah, it must have been like 2018, probably.
I just didn't know. I didn't know what tour it was. Was Adam in a cube? Was he in the?
Yeah, it was. Jonathan was playing cello, and I think we were in the.
So that was Vessels. Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're standing side stage at the Palladium, which place been plenty of times before. We have a lot of friends and bands that play there. Excited, and then this lovely young man Brock, who I just met at the bar across the street, walks out and stands next to me in a bunch of hockey pads, and I was like, Siobhan, what the fuck is happening.
Wait, you had no back. You had no.
I had no
understanding
none
of your-
none
No.
whatsoever. I listen on Spotify. I was like, oh,
Those are
this
those
is
are the
good
best
shit.
fucking fans.
No, dude, this.
Like, if you're a blindfold going into it, and then we're like, here we are. Oh man.
Let me tell you exactly.
The real experience.
Ron, you should be so
Yes.
proud of your marketing right now because Corey and I went in and we're like, okay, first off, we're like, the Palladium. Okay, well played. This is a pretty big place.
I
And
love that
and
place.
outside,
That's a
there's
cool
like
venue.
8. But I'm saying, like, that's a big venue. Like, that's a big deal. And then we came and we're already drunk drinking beer and stuff. That was the last time I think I actually drank and got wasted. Because I felt like I made such a fool of myself. I
You
don't
say
like
that
not being in
at every
control.
concert we go to. That was the last time.
Yeah, when I'm wasted.
It's your
Did you
go-to
come on the
excuse.
bus? Did we hang out with you? Forgive
We
me.
did, actually.
Yeah, we came back.
But
for
we
a bit,
were in
yeah.
the really small dressing room that time,
But
so it was
we-
like really crowded. And Ben was definitely.
We watched
Three sheets to the wind.
your VIP thing, and Corey and
Okay.
I were like, "There's more people down here than have come to most of our shows." We're like, "What the fuck?" And then when you guys came on stage and like you showed up in spacesuits, we had already been drinking kind of backstage a little bit because we were just like, "Oh, there's beer here. Let's just drink more of it." We were
Yeah,
like,
of
"Is
course.
this for real?" But then we saw the people out there, and we're like, "Oh my god." This is for real. And then you blew our minds. For like the next 90 minutes, we were just like, I'm sorry I ever said anything other than Starset's the best. Like, that's honestly how I feel.
High-
And when I
high
saw you
praise
last
from you
time, I
guys.
felt even more than that.
No, it
Well,
was
that's-
genuinely like we were not expecting it at all and pleasantly surprised.
Well, I
And
feel
also-
bad. I feel bad if I had a conversation with you because Siobhan knows how I am on the road. I'm
We're
not a-
Bostonians,
not a-
too. We're
busy.
like,
not a
we're like,
conversive
fuck
type.
these guys. They suck. And we're like, these spacemen are fucking rad.
I generally I do my best not to be like a punisher like backstage whenever my friends let me hang out, so I might have been like, hey man, nice to see you, but Ben probably did something horrendous.
I did something horrible.
assume.
So I called Siobhan the next day and I said, I'm sorry because first off, I got so hammered and I don't really drink a whole lot. I don't remember how I got home. It was a bad affair. I remember looking at my Instagram stories. And I was like filming Dustin and his dog and calling him the wrong name. I think I was calling him Ron. I was calling him Ron or something. And I posted it on my story. I think he was yelling at Brock about something. And I'm like, oh my God, this is personal shit I should never have posted or filmed. I'm like horrified. And I called Siobhan. And I'm like, I'm sorry for last night. And she's like, oh, you were fine. Everyone thought you were great. You were funny. And I'm like, meanwhile, I think I stole Dustin's dog and ran around outside. And was like, this is Dustin's dog.
Everybody's had Ernie at some point.
Yeah, it's not unprecedented.
We're all
I
here.
promise.
If you go on the road with Starset, you are an Ernie Wrangler. That's just
Yep.
the way.
Absolutely.
Every single person, including the friends. So, and Ernie loves it. He's a person. He's not a dog.
Yeah, I'm glad I get to hang out for a bit when you guys came through a little while back.
So cute.
Yeah.
Sure,
Well,
yeah.
with the acoustic thing was cool. I got to see you guys then, so that was
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, I haven't showed you guys. This is a debut. This thing right here.
Oh, this is a rare occurrence for Corey to actually leave his seat to show us something. This is a Ben move.
Nice. Oh, nice.
There we go. Oh,
Right
yeah.
on.
Oh, my God, you framed it.
Hell yeah.
This is hilarious.
This is-
Okay, wait, no, not that. Ben, we don't care about yours. We care
No,
about Corey's.
This
shit.
is my leftover BLT that you guys signed because
That's amazing.
I had nothing else that would work.
Wait,
I
is there
framed
like
it.
an old crusty BLT in there?
I was about to
still?
ask, is the food still
Yeah,
in
no,
there?
obviously I'm saying no. I cleaned it up.
Okay.
I was saying, like, dude, put that high up. It's gonna get some rats. That's
I'm gonna hang on to this for about 10 years, and then I'm gonna sell it on eBay for $4 billion.
That's amazing.
When
That's
Dustin
so
solves
awesome.
world hunger or something.
That
was,
might
you
be
guys
the
need to
most
go to the
unique
YouTube and
signed
see what he's
object.
showing.
I don't know, Siobhan. We signed some cars on that tour.
That's true. I definitely signed some weird things on the acoustic tour because that was just like the sign anything
Just
that
like
people.
But that's
Whatever.
impressive because he has a shadow box, and like I would have just cut that out, like the styrofoam, and just like matted it all nice and
You gotta
beautiful.
preserve what it was.
No, well, he has all of it. Like that's a lot. You can't just
Yeah.
hang that. You got to put it on a shelf.
Yeah,
I put it on my acoustic treatment. It's fine.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I gotta get some LEDs to go in there at some point. I'm working my way towards it.
Backlighted.
But,
yeah, that's awesome. Right on.
Either way,
Oh my gosh.
when we started this conversation, I was saying that just the first time that I saw you guys, and obviously I've been a fan ever since. But it was always like we'd hang out with Siobhan, Brock, and Adam, and it was kind of like you and Dustin were always in business mode, and so I think that what would be really interesting is kind of hear how tour is like for you and what most people might think tour is like for a rock bassist. Maybe it might be a little different.
I think the last thing I do on tour is play bass. But hey, that's the fun part. Yeah, I guess where do I start? The tour doesn't start for me when we go on tour. So tour starts 2 months, 3 months, 6 months before.
Sure.
But that should be any manager and co-manager or whatever it is that Dustin and I do. We do a lot ourselves. So yeah, everything starts far before that to ensure a fun and successful and doesn't miss a beat type tour. All the work's done before you even step foot on stage the first time.
Without getting too detailed, like what does that look like? What if someone's going to plan a tour? What are like the fundamental things that you have to start considering 2 months ahead of time?
Depends what you're doing. So, like I said, I think in the last episode, it's the Wild West now. So, like today, I don't know when this is going to air, but I'm actively working on trying to figure out what's going on the other side of the world, because it's completely up in the air as to what we're about to do. It sounds like Benny's dying.
Yeah, he does that from time to time.
It happens.
Okay. Yeah, your first part of this is you typically have a team, right? So if you're an artist at a level that's presented in most of the rooms that you've seen shows in, you typically have seen an act that has been booked by an agent. If you have a qualified and a decent agent, you're getting booked in those rooms, or you're at least being associated with the right promoters and the right teams. We have excellent agents, and I don't want their jobs. Their jobs are stressful in itself. But you keep on them. You are talking to them constantly. Especially when 2020 happened. The first thing I thought about it, other than how the hell are we getting all 17 people home from Siberia, was where are we going to go? What are we going to do? We have a spring tour on the books. It's selling. We're selling tickets. We're selling VIP to it. How's that going to function? What's the next step of that? What now, because it's the Wild West, what state or what country regulations exist in order for us to put on the exact same show that we intended on booking in the first place? Does the promoter want to pay that much anymore? Is the ticket sales going to change? Is Live Nation going to straight up change the entire dynamic? They did. So your brain is always having to operate in that I'm thinking 10 steps ahead mode, and I don't always enjoy it. It burns me out, but that's what you do. And then once you know you have that tour, or you have that range of dates, and you've got venues, and you have an understanding of what you intend on doing during that time range, you then have to, it's really when I go and talk to Dustin and say, all right, now what are we doing? Like, okay, we knew this last 8 weeks. We just got back late December. We knew it was Horizons. We knew we had just done a new record. So of course that means new songs, new dynamic of playing, new video content, new structure on stage. Ended up bringing a new member on stage, Corey Juba, who's excellent and talented, and really glad we got a seventh guy in the dynamic now, which has been the goal for the entire project. But yeah, that whole thing happens first, and then you're starting to plan what's on the deck. How are you getting all the gear there? Who's playing? What are you playing? What do you look like? What are you selling? What's all the ins and outs? And then of course there's a budget, and there's transportation, and then there's people, and then there's protocol, and then there's you can go on and on and on and on. But you pre-pro this, you build this, you make sure there's a structure, you make sure that people know what they're doing day in, day out, and you hope to God nobody gets sick now.
Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you, while you're talking about that, how much of that was skill that you had from prior experience, or like what was the learning curve like? Obviously, a lot of it too is branding, especially with Starset. Yeah. There's so much about like the packaging and, like you said, the staging. How's it going to look? What's the experience? Like, what are all these ancillary things that surround the music and the story? So, like, how involved are you on that front? And was that something you kind of had to learn as you went, or did you have a talent in that?
I definitely didn't know it getting into it. So Dustin, tip the hat to him. I learned a shit ton from him in terms of marketing. But he also was fearless. It's funny, that's our record label right now. He was fearless to challenge the bigger people at the record label because he knew what he wanted. and those people weren't necessarily always doing it for him. So I was privileged to be in the room with him when I heard him in the first transmissions discussions, understanding of what was right and what was wrong. And there was always mistakes. I mean, this is the music industry. There's 17 people trying to knife you. So you're trying to navigate that, but also get yourself positioned in the right way to be on top, or at least just be able to put your brand forward. Dustin is like the most fair person in the world. He's not going to be an asshole, but he's going to try and get what he needs. So I was learning like that, and it was terrifying sometimes, because you're just like, I don't like, I said it in the last episode of like, running to fire. I love that. And I love to learn, but it's also really, really scary when you're actually on fire and you're just like, oh my God, I don't know 10 things that are being said around me. And I'm having to literally fake all 10 or read and do research while you're actively playing music on a stage. Like, I'm trying to do all this at once. And it became immensely stressful in the first couple of years, because it was just like, how many things do I not know? Oh my God, I don't know most of this, but I can apply it to my old life, as you asked. So like, I can apply branding in a certain way, because I had an amazing brand guy who's still one of my best friends at my old company, who I learned so much from. And I understood, at least at the time in from 2003 to 2011, marketing. But that marketing doesn't really apply anymore. The internet exploded. So now we have this giant digital marketing phase. So e-commerce is just a totally different animal, but it became easier for someone to manage. So that, I think one of the things that Dustin and I always talk about in terms of self-management is there was always a time for a manager up until maybe 10 years ago. Bands that do it now probably just don't have the right mindset, and that's fine. Some people just require to be an artist and that's it, and you need a manager. But for us, like, there's so many things that are now digitized and built in a way that it's just turnkey. Like, if you know how to use a smartphone, there's 1,000 things that I could do on a smartphone right now that plan a tour that you could never do in the 1980s. You needed a guy on a payphone figuring out where you're going to fly, figuring out where the hotel's going to be, figuring out how the gear's going to get somewhere. That's all done.
I have a question.
Yeah,
I have a question about all this. Do you remember the 70s band ABBA?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they're doing now?
I don't.
That's a good question. I don't.
They're actually faking the moon landing. So they're going to be doing holograms of themselves. So they don't actually have to tour. I'm serious.
Okay,
you're going to do the whole tour as
that's hilarious. Siobhan's heard me say this before. That's awesome.
I'm like, how have you guys not thought about this? Because I went and saw your last show, which, by the way, gave me epilepsy. I didn't have it before, but I went home and I was like, literally freaking out.
Yeah.
But like, I could not believe the amount of lights and production you had at the Palladium, which is falling apart. Like, I would be scared to hang things from the sconces, but you guys did it, and it was incredible. But like ABBA, they're like, we don't have to worry about getting
sick. Are they actually doing that?
Lights.
They're doing a hologram
tour?
tour?
No, I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. They're doing a virtual tour.
I think we need to be a little bit bigger before someone gives a shit about seeing me in hologram form. However,
but how about if you did a virtual VIP meet and greet before the virtual tour?
And that's the thing. Like, maybe with if we've got 17 more Greek letters after this variant, then maybe. But yeah, right now, we rough it. We get in front of people with masks on, and we did the VIPs, and I think people still enjoyed them. We also did an acoustic tour right in the dead of summer before Delta, and it was a massive success, and we had a blast doing it. So I think there's still going to be value always in being right in front of someone's face. That said, if this could grow into some of the ideas that Dustin has, I certainly could see a hologram type approach in some sort of mainstay like Vegas or something like that.
Well, do you know how diametrically aligned you are to ABBA? Because they didn't even speak English, but they sang Dancing Queen, and they're like, we'll sing it in 15 languages.
That's
I
awesome.
feel like, again, that's like back in the 70s, that was like a really interesting mindset, because they're like, we'll pander to all these crowds by making everyone think that they're from that area. Because they literally sang it in like 16 languages.
That's
and then
awesome.
they wrote the catchiest music, because if we know anything about Sweden, they produce the greatest musicians and producers ever, like David Guetta and, all those DJs and stuff that make $500,000 to show up with their, like, not even a computer anymore, just their controllers.
David Guetta's French, but okay.
I'm pretty sure he's from
I
Sweden.
think you're thinking
But
of like
anyway,
Swedish House Mafia.
Swedish
or
House
somebody like
Mafia,
that.
whatever. All those guys.
Anyway, we know
Sweden
the point.
breeds DJs. The point is that, dude, I can't imagine how you guys don't realize that ABBA, who everyone at every wedding I've ever been at, people ask me for ABBA. Starset's going to be that band, and if you use them as your archetype,
Dustin just
you
has
can
to change
replace
the way he
yourself.
writes stuff. I don't know how
Well-
it is. I'm not sure if there's a space dancing queen in our future, but you know.
But here's the question for you though: if you can go and be a hologram, do you go and tell yourself that you're fired because you're now a light?
Yeah, I think I'd like to fire myself in hologram form. That would be awesome. that sounds a lot less expensive. I can tell you that.
That's what I'm saying.
You can kick
You're
back with your
replaced.
Modelo and
But we've
watch
had
the show.
We've had these jokes. We've actually said like I should be a hologram. I tell Brock.
I
Brock
believe this.
Brock says the same thing almost every night. Siobhan doesn't always hear it because we do this thing in the intermission where we change and we. Sorry for the European fans that haven't seen the show, but like we change into spacesuits and we come out in a different form. And he's always standing there in front of his vault and he's just like, Ron, do you remember when we didn't have to dress like idiots? And I'm just like, but I'm like, no, Brock, I don't remember that. And he's like, God. And I'm like, don't worry, man. One day we'll be able to sit back on our couch and watch ourselves playing a show in Vegas and you'll just be playing video. And that's like our inner joke. But like, yes, we've had that conversation. I didn't know Ev was doing it. So that's amazing. Now I have to read
You'd
it.
be like Tupac. Tupac's dead, and he
Yeah,
played
he's still playing
Bonnaroo.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Sounds like a weird family tie-in. I don't know if I feel good about that. It sounds like
That's a little
royalties
strange.
and strange shit. You know? I'm warm, so I'm doing this for you, Benny.
Yes, we need the
Oh.
reveal. Oh my gosh, we totally missed this in part 1. Yes,
Yes, yes.
Ron.
Oh my God, that's disturbing.
Why? Why is it disturbing?
We
don't
now
like
have
your-
all of
you
our
don't like-
faces.
You don't like yourself in the cartoon form, Benny?
Well, the funny thing is that
Ron, who is also the merch king. I mean, among his many other jobs.
well, I was in San Diego
I specifically made a trip to go pick up one of these because I knew
That's
it
amazing.
that was
wasn't.
amazing. I feel so honored.
Well, I'm going to say that I was in San Diego with Scott, who's the guy behind this whole show, and
Love
his
Scott.
his partner Tom goes around all of San Diego wearing our shirt.
Oh,
all
really?
the
I didn't
time.
know that.
Oh, you know, he wears it's his favorite shirt. They're well-to-do. They could buy anything, but he wears that shirt. And he actually asked me which one I was when I literally was smoking a joint on the side of his 5-star hotel.
Well, you're definitely not the blonde
Like-
girl with the glass of wine.
Yeah.
That's for
Yeah,
sure.
That's definitely Benny. Yeah. That
I'm like, are you serious, Tom? Are you fucking serious? Which one am I? I'm like, I'm the one painted as a cartoon smoking a joint. And I'm smoking a joint literally in front of you. So, yeah, that gives me PTSD every time I see somebody wearing my face on their shirt.
well, I'll wear it more often. I've got
There's
one.
literally 6 to 12 people that own those, and that it is a little upsetting just to know that our faces are out there.
Oh, I'm doing my part. So go buy
wow.
a shirt. It helps my
But
brand.
speaking of
2020-d.com. Check it out.
Exactly. And speaking of T-shirts, this is kind of a good segue to talk about some of the other business ventures that have kind of been offshoots of the Starset trajectory. I mean, doing merch and having a merch company and the buses, we kind of referred to it earlier. I mean,
Smart.
Can you talk about some of the
Genius.
like some of the other business ventures that have kind of spun off of, building Starset and even unrelated. Like there's so
Yeah,
many other things
sure.
that you do we haven't even touched on.
Revolutionary.
So, yeah. Well, okay. So understanding the business means understanding everything you pay for. That's pretty much the first step of it. Especially in the music industry, it's not just that, but also who's taking money from you, so you can figure out what to do and how exactly it's going to even out. Early on, again, Dustin was very adamant, but that was also because of the brand. But he was very adamant about quality, not just quality merch, but understanding how the merch ties into the music. So yeah, we take a huge pride in making sure that our merchandise is just standing toe to toe with the level of production and what we're doing at all times. We never really signed away anything. We wanted to hold on to everything we could because we knew we could do it. Just kind of what I was alluding to about, smartphones. Every app on there gives me or Dustin or whoever I have on my team a ability at a moment's notice to manage something that whereas you couldn't do that 10 years from now. No reason why you should be paying somebody 20% or whatever a management deal might be to do that, unless you're growing to a point where it necessitates it. Right now, it's manageable, and we like that. T-shirts was a huge part of that, of course. I mean, there's in the dynamic of what 2020 and 2022 is. you are not a band that can grow unless you have merchandise that can support you, period. Our VIP stuff and all the things that we do auxiliary to that, sure, not every band needs that. But if you don't have the right understanding of how you're merchandising and how you're putting your product, not just your music and your sound out there, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. So yeah, we took a lot of time to learn it. We didn't go as far as setting up our own screen printing presses, but damn, we talked about it. I'm kind of glad we didn't, because we have some awesome partners who I'd always send more people to. I'm not going to plug them on this, but they're amazing, and they know who they are, and they crush it, and they'll continue to work for us because we work for them. Same thing for buses, like that same concept. We just we saw the need of getting this production to a certain level of people, and you just can't do that safely without the right touring production. So buses necessitated one very early, probably too early. It was so stressful to learn that. That was one of the most stressful things I've ever had to do, is understanding Department of Transportation law and understanding what to do with big, heavy, gross weight vehicles and knowing what to do over state lines, and then trying to insure them, which is exponentially insane, and trying to become a rental company when you've never done it. And there's massive regulation as to what to tell you not to do that as a general Joe off the street.
Wait, before you get too far on, you just blew my mind, because I would never in a million years think to myself, if I'm in a band, I need to know Department of Transportation law, because I'm driving heavy vehicles over states, because I'm just going to buy the 18-wheelers, because the amount that they're going to charge me for these vehicles is just over time. There's going to be such an arc of where this doesn't make sense, that we have to get the ROI out of these guys. So you're going to take a leap, but in the long run, having this crazy understanding is going to allow you to make real money in the long run. But I'm just sitting here by myself playing my guitar going, I hope people will like this tune. And I just think it's absolutely incredible. And I take my hat off to you, the Starset hat, because Corey and I were at, I think it was, the Paradise Theater in Boston. And you guys played. And first off, I was talking to, I think, Corey and my friend Alicia, I think was there. And someone looked back at me and said, "Do not interrupt." What's the lingo you use now? It's a wait. Was it
demonstration?
I'm sorry.
Oh, the demonstration.
Yes, a demonstration. It's Starset. I'm like, I know them, but they were so mad at me for not being in that.
You were having a sidebar conversation or something? Is that what was going on?
Yeah, I was yelling because I came from a DJing a 5-star hotel at a wedding.
You're always yelling. There doesn't need to be a
You don't have a whisper. There's no Benny whisper.
I'm so egocentric. I walk in and completely interrupt these people. But furthermore, we waited for you guys afterwards, and there was a line that I have never seen in my entire life of living in Boston, seeing tons of huge bands waiting at that merch table. And Corey and I said, "Are they signing?" The guy was convinced you were signing things. No, you guys literally just sold a shirt to every single person, not just a shirt. These people were probably spending $500. I'm like, what the? How they left with the whole spacesuit? And it's great quality stuff too, because it's amazing looking. But I said to myself, I'm in the wrong fucking business. And I could not believe that you guys weren't sitting at that table signing stuff, that they were just buying it, to the point where people were being asked to leave the venue, but they're like, we're waiting in line to buy things. And you couldn't ring up the money fast enough. And I'm like, these guys are literally, I've never seen anything like it.
So that's been, I'm glad you bring it up, because that's
never
been
in my life.
Well, that's been a trial by fire.
That's Iron Maiden level.
We as our own merchandise company, if you will, or whatever, we've learned through the years what that means, and not just to the fans, because that's obviously the most important part, right? You build the right brand, you build the right lifestyle brand, if you will, and they want to own every shirt. And there are definitely fans that go out and buy every single shirt, and you're just like, and our merch sellers are like, what? And then there's fans that are just like, oh my God, I need to give the band more money, and they tip crazy, and they try to donate, and our fans are incredible. And you can't get enough of it. So you build it for them. But the trial by fire part I meant is that, we learned like through multitude of people at that table, what it was like to manage that influx of people at the end of the night or at the beginning of the night. And you know, I've stepped on my own toes managing it, trying to understand like what that is to that. That's like one of the hardest jobs in the entire business, is trying to manage they're literally never getting a break when our sellers are standing there for the entire night. So yeah, even in the last tour, I changed my ways in the way that we manage, you know, what they make and everything that's associated with and how they're structured and how you treat them. It's just, and not just the sellers. I mean, just customer service in general. It's massively important. And I do believe that experience is not as important as the demonstration and what they perceive and what they hear, but it is still so important to receive something after you leave that show. And maybe they do come over to a signing table afterwards, but that experience is what enables them to come back, and they bring 2 friends and then 3 friends. You know what I'm saying? And like the same thing for our VIP. And Siobhan, obviously she knows intimately what that means when we do the VIPs without COVID. We spend hours if we do the acoustic thing, but if we spend, you know, as much time as we can with each person, talking to every fan, because they spent a boatload of money to come hang out with us. I want to understand why. You know, you don't want to have that step and repeat picture onto the next type mentality of that. That's never been what we've ever been about with our fans. Unfortunately, the band has grown where some of those VIPs necessitate that because of time. We just don't have the time to talk to all those people. So that summer tour was fun. We could cap it. You could meet with these people. All we were doing was acoustic. And then the rest of the time was having a beer and meeting people. It was awesome. So yeah.
Is that your R&D? Because I feel like when Corey and I went and saw you guys, it's so smart because you guys are going there and you're first off playing for your diehard fans. So you immediately have like the best of the best. And you guys have people that really love you. And it's so admirable because, you know, like my daughter, her girlfriend hadn't been to a show ever in her life, and she came and they saw you guys. And the thing that made me so happy as a producer when I left was they're like, "We love the strings. The strings were so catchy." And I'm like, "They're catchy?" They're like, "Yeah, they're awesome." I'm like, "I love that they love the strings." But you guys then go and walk around, and people are recanting your story, and it's like, okay, so what bullet points are sticking? What are they finding interesting? What are they asking you? What questions are they asking us? So it's almost like you're paying for people to tell you what they want directly at the highest level.
Maybe.
So you guys are like reverse VIPing it. Yeah,
sometimes,
it was so fun to watch.
But every person in the band is getting a different angle. Siobhan probably has 1,000 different stories than I do. Well, but it's not like we're taking that and writing it on a whiteboard later. Like I'm just so.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a decent memory.
I bet Dustin has. Well, he probably has like a new thing, a tablet instead now that he just
it's just like anything.
You
internalize any feedback that you get. You know, so anything you hear that people appreciate, you're going to amplify it on stage. You're going to be conscious of it. You're going to remember that this is what people came here to see or to hear. You know, it's just like if you're reminded of that, and it all falls under what's amazing about Starset is just like maintaining a brand that goes across all. Aspects of music, of performance, of merchandise, of everything. It's an experience,
like ABBA.
You know, and that's
you just don't want anyone to leave there without whatever it is that they wanted, right? It's not like I guess it's kind of like Disneyland, but like you just don't want them to not get what they want out of that experience. Like,
wait, which one's Mickey Mouse?
Adam.
Drumabuse.com.
That makes Brock goofy.
Adam Gilbert.
I don't know. I'm sure some fan will watch this and make us into whatever that is.
Probably, yeah. It won't take long.
But yeah, I can't remember where I was going.
Are you Huey, Louie, or Dewey?
Oh man, I
definitely. We were talking about feedback, you know, and fans and the experience that they get out of
your acoustic tour was amazing. It really was fantastic.
That's what it was. You asked if it was R&D. That was the craziest thing that we'd done, I think, to date because of what we had to do it. It was the Wild West, as I've said, and no one was playing shows, and we were like, all right. It seemed at the time that COVID was going to end. We had vaccines. Most people were getting vaccinated at the time of April, May. We were like, all right, it's going to kind of creep up. It's going to be a point where we at least would see some venues open up to, at least if it's just going to be vaccinated or whatever it might be, like you knew there would be some group of people that would be allowed to gather, right? So we're like, all right, don't know when that'll be, but let's set a date in the sand to say, let's do this, and then let's try for the main tour in the fall. And I still can't believe it worked out the way we said it was going to work out, because nothing ever does. It's always like you just try to set dates and everything just blows up and you find it out later. But we set a date, and I remember I was up at Dustin's cabin. He was working on Horizons, and I just told him, and he's so hard to talk to when he's writing because he's just in this block, and I hate pulling him out of it because he's in the block. He wants to just focus and write and finish. And he had Joe up there, and I think Jason with Breaking Band, and like there was just so much going on. And I'm like, dude, I've got like 20 days until we hit this start date that I want to start this tour on this day. And he was like, well, we could do it this day or this day. I'm like, I feel really strongly we should start on this day. And it was like a phone conversation after I left the cabin, because I was going back and forth between Columbus. I would just go up there for like 4 days at a time or whatever. And he just texted me. It was a text. He was like, yeah, all right, just go with what you think. And it was the start date of, I don't know, July. It was the day after my brother's wedding, whatever that day that was, July 18th. And I was like, all right, I have June to plan this entire tour. No agent, nothing. And I'm just like, all right, here we go. And I just put the dates and cities that I thought made sense from the canceled tour that we had in 2020 on a map, and just started putting dates together of how I could drive it, because I knew how long bus drivers could drive. And then I just cold called 300 places to get 32 dates. And it just was fucking chaos for a month. And I remember going on sale in 14 days. And I only had like 6 dates left to book. And we were shocked, as you said, Benny. Like, I was blown away. We knew what the price point was. We knew that we wanted to just play acoustic. We knew no one had been out, and we know there was not many tours other than like maybe country artists and a couple, things that were probably not allowed in Texas that were happening. So, but we did it. We went on sale, and I'm like, what? Like, I couldn't believe how quickly sales happened. And then at the end of it, it was like sellout after sellout after sellout of capped rooms at like 100 to 150 people. But like, we immediately knew, all right, we just created something different. Like, we probably can't do the same acoustic thing again in the future. Or maybe we can, but we have to do it in a different way. We know that these people love to see, a different version of Dustin's songs. And fuck, I mean, Siobhan and Z, like they shine in this, right? I mean, it's a totally, Benny, you saw it, so you guys understand. Like, it is a totally different structure to this music, and we really just thought it would be a cool way to get out and be like, hey, everybody, I know you haven't seen us in like 12, 18 months. Like, we're still here. We're going to do the real thing soon. Thanks for coming out, supporting us, and supporting our crew. Instead, it became like, this is what they want to see. They want to know when the next one is, and by the way, they want to know when the next big demonstration is too. So it was cool. It was really cool.
Well, here's the thing that's cool about that was you guys have so much mystique. Like, if you guys, like the last show you played, the Palladium, it could have been fake. I mean, you guys sounded, first off, so good that if you told me it was like all backing tracks, I'd believe you and be like, good job. Like, you always sound good. Sure. But like, I know you're really doing it. But when you guys played acoustically, you still sound amazing, but you can hear the humanity in it. So if anyone ever were to question, like, can these guys really do, like, first off, Z and Siobhan are like Jedi level musicians. So again, Dustin's intelligent in the sense that he always surrounds himself with these incredible musicians. Like, Adam is such an incredible drummer. So like, you're already set up for success because you have these wonderful people in your band, but you guys really do it. And a lot of bands hide behind stuff. You guys did that tour, and I thought that was like very open and very cool, because you also walk around and you talk to people.
Well, that was the point. Yeah, and that was the scary. That was the scary thing. Right?
Amazing to me.
It was before Delta. It was kind of on the main alpha, whatever they call the first variant. It was coming down, and we didn't see Delta coming up, and we were just at the end of the last week. It was scary because it was peaking up. Well, we were no mask, and we were just going out and talk to people because we were all outside for the most part. Most of the venues were outside, and then when they weren't, we did have masks in the places that required it because we're not rule breakers. But it was a thing that it blew me away, only because I thought it was supposed to be like a hi, hello, here we are again, not a, oh my God, these people love us to a point where we've created a brand that conceptually can exist in whatever platform we create, as long as it's quality. So yeah, I guess I'm saying I definitely agree with what you said, Benny. The people.
Well, you signed this for me, and then people I waited such a long time. I got to tell you, because I was ready to go home. But no, my daughter and her girl were like, no, we got to wait. We got to get autographs. Like, I'm like, do we really though? You met the band. Like, they're all cool with you. Like, no, we got to wait. And you go and you take pictures with everybody, and you sign everything.
Corey's got his
and I
signed
gotta tell
takeout
you,
box.
Love it.
it's so admirable because, when you're growing up and you love a band and you guys are like superhuman, like you're the same way I think a lot of people looked at Led Zeppelin in the 70s, because they didn't have that kind of interactivity that they do with bands now. So it's like, these are space aliens when they see them live. You guys still have that mystique of like, you're almost superhuman, and the way that people look at you, it's like almost the same way someone looks at a DJ. Like that's the only time I've noticed it is not as a musician, but like when I DJ venues, when people think like, you controlled that room. People look at you guys like you controlled that room.
But you know what's cool about that is like,
true.
It's really cool to get off stage and know that when you felt a good one, which I know Siobhan can relate to, and I'm sure you guys can too. Like, you had a good show, and you get off stage and you felt it. You're like, all right, fuck yeah, we nailed that. That's a cool thing. And you know that you felt like, oh shit, like maybe the mystique played out, or maybe the lights was amazing and everything that we did was right. That's a really good feeling. But what I mean by the way that this summer felt was, I didn't expect the same feeling after, I've certainly know what my throat felt like after talking to 100 people every night, but like, I didn't expect the same feeling after hearing everyone's story and understanding what it meant to them. And it's just, yes, we're surrounded by amazingly talented people, and that's not by accident. We've found these people, and I think they love the same reasons why we feel this way, but I just, I'm eager to do it again. I'm eager to continue to build that part of the brand more. And I love the fact that it's small. And I hope we can control the small aspect to that, because like you said, Benny, the mystique, it's hard to pull back that veil. Like, Dustin has created something that you don't want to really tarnish. You don't want to break the fourth wall in most things. But there are time and place for that. And maybe that tour was it. So.
Yeah, well, it also changed how we do the pre-show VIP too, because it kind of enlightened us to like some of the sound and the, we built it up, in a way that gave it kind of a different level of power compared to some of the previous VIPs we did, like sonically. Yeah,
so, you're right. We changed elements to it that made it better. Adam was on a full kit. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's exciting. It's never not exciting to be in this project, and it's certainly also chaos. I say chaos all the time. That's
being self-managed and having that responsibility for basically making sure that everything stays on the rails. What does that look like as, the job? So when you're on tour, is it like play the show, debrief? Is it regimented when you guys are kind of like doing your planning and analysis of what's going on?
I am. I don't. Dustin's creative way and the way he does his thing is his own way, and it has to be. I think that's the only way he can operate. And there's not many people that I've met that can work with him like that. And there's someone setting fireworks off right next to my house. Sounded like gunshots. Sorry, that was weird. There's not many people that can really, hone in on that.
Demonstration outside.
Yeah, maybe. It might be. Yeah, I should. That's not really a knock. Actually, I think that's probably, and it's also probably not unique. That's probably most lead singers / main creators, right? You just have to find their way that they can operate, and a good manager or a good partner, whatever it might be that is functioning with him or them needs to do that to ensure success. He is his own unique animal, but so is everyone else. So our whole camp is full of unique personalities. And it requires some structure, of course. But actually, I think it requires some like destructure in order to make things happen. I don't think anyone joins the music industry because they want to be in some crazy military barrack structure.
Sure. Well, that's part of your skill of management, is understanding, how to be the best counterpart to all the varying moving parts and the personalities. And that's what you're very, very good at,
You just have to know that there's a reason why most people are on the road. I really believe that after now doing this for as many years as it's been. You could just as easily go work at a warehouse doing similar lighting or teching or audio work. You could just as easily play weekend shows and get your jollies from playing live and then go back to your desk job. There's a reason why there's people gigging, and there's a reason why people are teching, and there's a reason why people are in this band. And you just have to respect that. And yes, you do have to manage it, and you do have to keep people in some sort of schedule. Otherwise it turns and melts to chaos. But it's I wouldn't trade it though, because I think most of the people that we surround ourselves with, and people come and go, but that's the fun of it, because it's like a circus, but it's like evolving, constantly creative, more creative than a carny circus, right? And that's the fun.
I'm having a flashback to one of our acoustic shows that we did where there actually was a circus. Yeah. There actually was a circus.
Did we get announced by the ringmaster?
I was like, this is the perfect joining of worlds.
Oh my God. I think that was midway through that tour too. And I'm like, this is literally a circus. I cannot believe this is happening. Yeah. And it was really hot that day. And our engine was overheating, if I remember. So it was
That's a good segue. Before we wrap, we still got 15 minutes left in the show, but we would be remiss if we didn't ask Ron, which we've asked everyone else in Starset, for your favorite tour stories or your favorite,
I actually wrote some down because I knew that you were going to ask me
so prepared, of course.
Yeah. I wrote several down because I was like, if I get asked this on the spot, I'm not going to think of it. So hold on, let's see if I can find this. There's so many ridiculous things that have happened on before Siobhan and after Siobhan. I'm not saying that she's a benchmark, but that.
BS.
No, but you have such a good memory for these things. I love hearing even the pre-me stories. I always get a kick out of hearing what you guys talk about.
Pre-me
Siobhan,
stories.
were you on the tour when we went to Helsinki?
The one with the boat when we were on the.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
you were
so.
on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first ones I wrote down because I remembered how ridiculous it was. But we we were on a Shinedown support tour, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We were in Stockholm, and I knew this was coming, but I just didn't know how to handle it because the flights were so insane. Shinedown flew, but their buses drove around I can't remember how you get to Helsinki, but there was
but it's a very long,
there was a ferry that could take the buses, but they had to get there. Otherwise you just wouldn't have made it in time. No one would have slept. But the flights that they were on it was just going to explode our budget. A support tour. We weren't getting paid well. We were just trying to be out there and show face. And yeah. So I had our bus drop us at a ferry port in Stockholm and get on this ferry in the morning. I think it was the morning. We slept at the ferry stop, got our gear off, and our fucking gear. It's 35 cases, and then a cello and a violin and all our bags. It was probably 65 things. And we drag it through this ferry terminal in Stockholm to get on this ridiculous ferry to Helsinki, which is an overnight boat, which most people do as a vacation. And we're dragging our shit through this terminal that is not made like an airport terminal, and there's gear everywhere. And people are just looking at us like we're from Mars. And we're just carrying gear. My cello player and I think our crew, we were just pacing. And I convinced some guy who couldn't speak English to open one channel and let us just push gear onto the boat. We got the gear on the boat. It was the longest walk of gear. I'm sweating my ass off. We get on the boat and everyone's all right, we got it. We found it a closet on the boat. It didn't lock and put all our gear in it. And then we just get on this thing and we all have bunks and we're sleeping that night. But we're so drained from it. I remember we all just wanted to do is just go get a beer. So we got a beer in the back of the boat and this band playing, and the fucking boat starts to dip hard. And so Dustin, he's dude, I'm going to throw up. He's Dustin being Dustin, freaking out. And I'm okay, well, what can we do? He's like, they have that stuff, those patches you could put on, and they I don't know what they're called. Do you think we know what Dramamine?
Oh, the Dramamine. Yeah.
Dramamine.
So he went to this front desk thing, and he got like 2 of them, and he like stuck them on both of his arms, and he's like walking around with Dramamine patches. So like all of us did that. And I guess I think it was him who talked to somebody, said that this was the worst storm on the sea that this boat has had in 20 years. And
it was like this, like sleeping at night.
Yes. We were at the back of the boat watching a band play on this boat. Normal stage, dance floor, we're getting drinks. There's fucking this beer's flying all over the place. People on the dance floor. I have a video of this. The people dancing and all of a sudden the whole crowd's over here and the whole crowd's over here. The drummer is strapped into his drum set playing, and then he's like swaying. The lead singer is holding on to like a bar to make sure he doesn't fall over. And then the whole night, like I thought we were fucking going over. Like it was terrifying. Made it to Helsinki, played one show. It was not worth all of that for one show, but we did.
Oh, geez.
That was wild. We should just got on the phone.
I bet for you, probably most of the wild tour stories happen in Europe because that's probably the most chaos when it comes to logistics.
Let's look.
Well, the only time he said bananas in the previous time, sorry to ruin it for people, but if you haven't watched it, go watch it, is when he can't sign on to Wi-Fi in Europe. That's when things are not just chaos, but they're
bad.
Bananas.
That's bad. That was like early days of Wi-Fi, though.
Bananas.
All right, so Siobhan, one of my favorite ones was when we were in Shinjuku in Japan at that music bar. And Ryan, our sound guy at the time, picked up that ridiculous acoustic guitar, and I had an electric guitar, and we live streamed. We were hammered. And it's like Shinjuku was like these tiny little bars in Japan.
Oh, it was Golden Guy. Golden Guy,
yeah. But Shinjuku is like the whole area. But yes, and Golden Guy, correct. They have the bars where you could like seat like 5 people.
It's a whole village of tiny, like really small, like only 5 people can fit in, and everyone has a different vibe. So this one they had like music instruments on the wall, right? And we
just picked up 2 instruments. I put my Instagram live up, which had just started kind of at the time. It was like early live stream, and I just put it at the end of the bar. And we were playing covers, and it was ridiculous.
That was great. That was a great night.
Yeah, like it was a great night. I wish I could find the footage of that because like that's all we did. Like, but we were also doing a 2-week stint in Tokyo, and we had days off like every couple of days, and we were just trying to find things to do. So we did everything in Tokyo. That was one of the better nights. I mean, with the day before we climbed Mount Fuji, but I didn't even mention that. That was cool.
God.
Yeah. Siobhan's told us about that one.
Yeah,
she was ill prepared apparently.
I think we were all ill prepared, and we ran. Dustin and I ran it, and I was like, I don't know how we didn't die.
No, this was like a typical Ron and Dustin story. It's like there's like 4 of us. It's like me and Brock and Mariko and our lighting guy at the time, and of course Ron and Dustin are like, oh yeah, we're gonna go and climb Mount Fuji and they like ditched us.
Mariko went to this.
Yeah,
she loved
it. Honestly,
yeah.
and for as little as she is, I was like, Mariko's not gonna make it because like I mean, Ron is kind of like the most. No, I mean, Ron is like the athletic one, and I'm like, I work out, like I'm pretty, like I've got good endurance, and I'm like, all right, I feel like Ron and I are going to be like.
Real. I feel like she's a hologram.
No, seriously, but sometimes. I was like, I feel like Mariko's like, she doesn't do a lot of like endurance stuff. She's just like naturally sprightly, she like made the whole way. But Ron and Dustin ditched us like within 5 minutes. They were like, you guys are too slow, and they were like up at the top and back, and Brock and I were like struggling getting down. I had the worst shoes ever. I was like sliding down.
Everybody's covered in sand because it's all that volcanic ash on the way down.
Did you show up in like platforms, Siobhan, to go climb a mountain?
I had like bougie Adidas like athleisure shoes, and I had it's cold at the top. The only other thing I had was like a hoodie, and then this like literally like shiny silver hoodie rain jacket thing. And
I remember the photos. You look ridiculous.
There's a picture of me at the top of Mount Fuji that turned into a meme. People like cut me out and put me in outer space because I literally looked like I was wearing a spacesuit with like a reflective hoodie.
Can we please source that for this so when people go onto the YouTube they can see?
I'll find it and send it to you.
Yeah,
it's pretty embarrassing.
Is it on Instagram? I think it's on Instagram.
It's definitely on Instagram somewhere in the archives.
I just realized, a lot of these are Europe and overseas, Siobhan. I'll just like breeze through them.
Go for it.
Okay, Switzerland. The most epic fart I've ever smelled in my life. We're in Zurich. In
it's
this,
always funny.
I don't know what they were thinking, and I apologize
It was a very
if the promoter
Spinal Tap
actually
stage.
cares enough to watch this, but like we were in this fucking show, like this show was in a basement, and the only way to get on stage was through like a hole, like look like this, like a gnome hole. You have to duck under it and you get on stage. It's like stage right. That's how you get in. And that's the only way to get on. Otherwise the crowd's in front of you. So
And the stage
I
was
think
like this high.
Dustin
It was like
said
6 inches.
something while we were sound checking, and he's like, man, like this is like, we're trapped. Like if something goes wrong, like we're going to look ridiculous if we have to get off stage. And a lot of the times we wouldn't get off stage because the venues are so small. Well, yeah, in the middle of the show, I don't know what some fan ate or something, but it overcame the entire stage. I couldn't fucking breathe. I'm in a spacesuit, okay? Dustin literally, and I've never seen him break character, but he broke character. And he's like, we're getting off stage because someone shit their pants. And it was like, we were just like, and I'm listening, we're all in ears, and I'm just like, did he just say that? And then he's gone. He's off the stage. And our tour manager at the time, John Phillips, is sitting in a chair behind the gnome wall. And we all fucking run off the stage in spacesuits. Yeah. And he looks at us, he's like, in the middle of the show, we never do this. And he's like, dude, what are you guys all doing here? And we're like, someone farted. Like, that was it. Like, yeah. So, that's never happened. Starset's never evacuated the stage.
Very memorable. I remember that stage.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah,
seriously, the two funniest stories that have ever been on the show have been Richard Shaw talking about somebody in his band taking a shit on stage in fucking Israel. And then you literally, it just goes to prove that South Park is right, that everything that turns out to be a shit or fart joke is always hilarious. It just really is.
True.
The lowest common denominator, well, the number 2 is literally the funniest thing ever. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. It wasn't funny at the time. I just wanted to finish the show that we were already in a small place. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. And then you're like, God, we're gonna stay in this spacesuit longer, and we're gonna be smelling that. Like, cool. This is great.
Oh my gosh.
Man, yeah. No, I mean, there's just been, I don't know how you top that. I don't know. There's been a lot of ridiculous things that happen though, but that's just,
Oh, for sure. And we have fun.
I mean, what am I can tell you that one. I don't know.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know what his problem is, but I did write that down because of how many times Brock has thrown up in different countries. So that's just dogging on Brock because he needs to defend himself later. But yeah, it's like there's literally a statement. There's literally a statement on tour. It's like insider knowledge of like, hey, like how drunk were you? Were you this drunk, or are you to like Brock and puking in a graveyard drunk? That's what we call it. And he made us pull a van over at one point and he puked in the graveyard. So. Dustin stole cryo tanks one time, sprayed our sound guy in the face with it. It was pretty funny.
I can totally see that happening.
That is such a high tech fucking gag, dude.
Dude, like it's just like it's like the 20-pound tank where you can hold in your hand and it's like kind of heavy. You just you just spray it a little bit. It's just fucking nuts. It's just like a guy was sleeping on a couch. You just like woke him up with it. Yeah, that was good. We did a lot of epic drives. One of them was like 28 hours from Austria to the UK. Siobhan, I know you were in the van of one of them. I talked about it. But Dustin and I had to drive the gear van, so there were 2 vans, and he drove the first part like till he almost crashed, and then I had to drive the rest into the UK, get on the ferry while he had this fucking mechanism for the airplane ride that had like a pillow. Like, with a neck, like a neck pillow, but like you can tie it. Well, he'd figure out a way, because he's a crazy engineer, to tie it to the back of the airline seat so he could fall asleep like this. Okay, so he would do that on planes. It already looks ridiculous when he falls asleep on a plane like that. Well, he was so, and I feel bad because like he probably won't hate me because I've told this story to people before, but like he was so fucking tired after driving that long that he did the same thing in the van, and it was straight up bench seats, like you couldn't recline, so he just like tied it up like this, and he's out fucking cold. He's got a thing over his head, the sleep mask on, and he looks like he's dead. And I pull up to the border crossing at the UK. Okay, and the van pulls up. The guy is on his side of the car because the UK is on the outside, and he's like this. And I'm like, dude, pay attention to me. I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get on the boat. And he's like, the fuck's up with this guy? Where's his passport? Like, trying to wake him up. And eventually he does wake up. And, like, I can only imagine what that border crossing dude must have thought. Like, I killed him.
This makes me think of like every time, especially in Russia when we were flying, like how scary all of us look by like day 4 and being exhausted. Yeah. We've got like sleep masks and face masks and neck pillows. Like we're hanging like this.
But that's what you do. You do whatever it takes to go on tour. And sometimes it means you look absolutely ridiculous. And I'm sure we are not the poster child of what Americans should look like overseas by any means.
Oh my God!
I got like 15 more stories, but I'm sure you guys are running out of time. But there's like a zillion of them.
We'll save some for the next appearance because there's so much to talk about. But
that's presumptuous. I hope you'll come back.
Of course. I sorry I took this one.
I feel like it's
so great. I know. I told you.
Yeah,
I didn't even take notes this time. I was so entranced the whole time that like I have to go back and like, Corey, can you just send me like the raws so I can just go like take notes later so I can understand what we just learned?
Sure. No, I think at some point at once it's possible, it would be great to have a time when you guys come through on tour. We can get a live podcast going and all be in the same room and hang out and have Ernie there and everything. Get the full experience.
Oh yeah.
But no, that would honestly is great stories and also just great to hear the behind the scenes of the juggernaut that is Starset and what it takes. And I think that I'm sure all your fans that check this show out, they're gonna walk away with something that they're gonna really be able to take to heart as well.
I think Dustin sleeping like this actually did top the like shitting the pants thing.
Oh my God, I can totally picture it too.
That's funnier because that's 28
hours of driving. I don't think anyone realizes how much Dustin cares about sleep because he cares about his voice, because he cares about how good the show is. Like it all factors into that engineer brain that is him. So yeah, that was probably. I mean, he did it on purpose. He needed to sleep, but like that was the most passed out I've ever seen him, and it was wild. So.
You've seen us all at next level, like scary looking passed out. Ron has definitely turned me and Brock into a meme sleeping at like Russian airports.
Oh yeah. Siobhan falls asleep in the weirdest places, so it's great. Yeah.
Well,
I can believe that.
Ron, where can people find you online? What are your socials?
Just my name, Ron DeChant. I think that's Instagram. I don't know if anyone cares about Facebook anymore. I sure don't.
Who even knows? I don't even know how to work any of this stuff
Twitter,
anymore.
You mean the metaverse? You're not joining that?
I think I have a Twitter. If you find it, you're lucky. I don't know. I don't use it. So, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, obviously, stay tuned for Starset news, and we'll have links below in the description. Check out everything, and yeah, looking forward to catching you guys again real soon.
I'm going on record as saying that
Woo! Yes, thank you for wearing our T-shirt.
Well, I not only appreciate that, but I think that there's going to be a time where I'm going to be saying "I told you so." That it's going to be like the next tour will really be because you guys have such production now. It makes no sense to me how you can't figure out the ROI and maybe even developing your own continuation of this. Hey, let's go film ourselves. Let's do 10 different shows. Let's have it randomly go to different songs so everybody has a different set. Maybe they can even vote on the set. And Dustin will perfect this, and you guys won't ever have to leave, and you will sit on the couch.
If ever a person to do it, it would be me. I would just need to figure out exactly what that...
I'm waiting.
You'll be doing all the logistics for it, figuring out how it works in reality.
My back of my brain's exploding and terrified. My front of my brain's like, let's do it.
You're going to get right off and you're like, Google ABBA.
Yeah, I'm going to look into ABBA. That is interesting.
You really should. You really should. Well, they're interesting in this how like ubiquitous they were at a time when people weren't doing that. So as far as marketing is concerned, they really are like one of the greatest archetypes of history. And this is just a continuation of why they are the best.
Well, I'm certainly not saying I've heard of ABBA, but I did not know that about them, so I'm going to do my research now. Thank you, Benny.
And ladies, with that, you've been 2020'd. Thank you so much to my dear friend Ron DeChant, my Starset partner, aficionado of everything, Ben holding up our poster. Thank you so much for joining us. We learned so much. I'm so excited for everyone to hear these episodes. And for me, I learned a lot. It's so great to get to know you on a different level, virtually, even though we're kind of in the same place.
Kind of.
So thanks for joining us.
No,
it was
appreciate
awesome.
you guys having us. Thank you.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah, how many personalities are you, Ron?
6.
2020-d.com. We'll see you next time. Brock, in the studio, what's your most combative experience when working on a project?
Man, I don't know. Probably working with Siobhan.
Yeah.
Did she ever go like, you're playing in the wrong mode? You should have listened to your first teacher that first lesson. It's in the wrong mode.
I mean, in that case, and like people yell, like, so I'll like be in here like jamming, like doing whatever to whatever Spotify song I have playing. And I'll hear her yell across the house, that was the wrong note. I'm like, fuck you, man. Like,